Does that sound good?
Sounds good.
Okay, and I sent you 3 invitations just in the event, because like you, if you have more than so many people on your Zoom session, mine ends in 40 minutes. So I sent you those invitations so that if we end and we still have conversation, come back and join us, okay? This first session, I did not really plan what exactly you wanted to talk about. I wanted to find out from you all. I will say that we're going to be changing some of the due dates because of the reflection piece for the SCIP Task 4. That is now combined with the CAP Task 4. So if you've already done it, great. If not, no worries. It's going to be not due until week 6 and week 7. Okay?
Okay.
And yesterday, well, it was last night late, I released weeks 5, 6, and 7. So those are out there. And hopefully you've noticed I am trying not to do that many assignments for you this semester. The hope is that you're going to be getting a lot from the readings, and you're going to focus on completing all your task stream assignments, and hopefully we'll just kind of gain some information through all of that. And I'm just not a firm believer in a ton of written reflection papers, that sort of thing. So if you want me to do that, I'll be glad to, but otherwise I figure, you know, you're all adults. My philosophy is you get out of it what you put into it. Sound good? The other thing you're going to start noticing is we're going to start reading a part of What Great Principles Do Differently. I don't know if you've ever heard of that book. It is not something you had to purchase, this book. You did not have to purchase that. I am totally ripping off copyright and making copies of the chapters and submitting it. So if you know Todd Whitaker, don't tell him. So I'm kind of trying out incorporating that book into this class rather than some of the other books. So the university knows that I am ripping it off and using it as a little bit of a pilot program to see how it goes. Okay, so if you see that, don't freak out. It'll be attached into task stream, the different chapters, okay? So how are things going? I know you all are add-on people, all hoping and wanting to be administrators at some point in time, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So what questions do you have? I mean, really, I just wanted to be an open book for this first one and just kind of see what you guys want to talk about, what questions you have for this semester. We are going to start moving into, hold on, let me get it. You're still going to be using the Glickman and the Hersey books, and I will be honest, those aren't my favorite. The Rath book is that strengths-based leadership, to me, is the one that is going to be the best. But you're going to start on week 7 and also continue to week 8. You are going to take that strength-based leaders survey or assessment, if you want to call it that. In the back of your book, the very end, there's this little gray thing that you pop open and it has your information on there. So you need to make sure that you have that so that you can take your leadership assessment, your Strength Finder assessment. And that will be done over week 7. And we're going to look at it in week 8. Okay? So that's that strength-based leadership. I took the sleeve off of it. It's that hard copy with the sleeve. I have it over there. I can go get it if you like. But it's the one that is broken into 3 parts. That talks about the different types of leaders and the domains of leadership. So to me, that book is going to be the most useful, plus What Great Principles Do Differently for your semester, since you guys are finishing and hopefully going to jump into the next realm, whatever you would like that to be. Sound good? All right, what questions do you have? What do you guys want to talk about? We are going to focus a little bit on hiring at the very end. Some of it's hiring teachers, some of it's your process if you choose to go into an interview. But other than that, we are going to look at like how to have crucial conversations, how to have that difficult conversation with employees, because that cannot be fun, but it's very necessary. So what questions y'all have? I'm an open book. Don't everybody jump at once. Okay, go ahead, James.
I asked the first question. Not too long ago, you just said we will be combining the reflections from our skip and our cap.
Yes.
So for that document, will we just kind of write it one time and copy and paste the same thing on both?
Well, if you look at so if you look at the rubric in the, sorry, I'm getting my big notebook out. If you look at the rubric in the information from the university, for the SKIP task 4, that's the reflection on competencies. And it says, and it's a little confusing, I'm gonna be honest with you. It says that candidates are to reflect on the SKIP and the CAP artifacts through the lens of the competencies, analyzing strengths, developing strengths, and areas for growth. These narratives are introspective, critical, honest reflections of the candidate's development as leader. And it says this is the only time that a competency reflection will combine 2 artifacts. But if you look at this, that's what it says for SKIP task 4. But if you look at the CAP task 4, it reads very differently. So I'm going to just caution you there. The CAP task 4 says the candidate will develop an electronic framework to graphically display the progress of the school related to cultural advocacy and safety. So it wants a graphic of an organizational chart. So it's very confusing. I'm just going to be honest. I've always felt that they are separate. The one thing that has been added that is new or newer is that one line that says this is the only time, but that's competency reflections. So it can be very confusing. I think it can be done separately, but if you write it together, I would, when you submit your artifacts, I would submit the same thing for the SKIP and the CAP. Okay? If you write it that way, there's no confusion, because what you have to remember is that blind grader or blind reviewer, they don't necessarily look back at your others, and really they look at the rubrics for those artifacts.
Even though the CAP doesn't have a reflection piece on it, still add it? Because when they look at the rubrics for the CAP, nowhere on the rubrics does it say anything about a reflection. And in none of the tasks does it say a reflection. Correct.
That's where I think it's very confusing. I'm a little shocked that the SKIP says that there's a reflection and then the CAP doesn't. I don't deal 100% with the artifacts. That is the clinical coaches. So I will reach out. I believe Dr. Robertson is back in the country now, or should have been as of like Friday, Saturday. So I will reach out to him and get some clarification on that, on what exactly they're being told as the clinical coaches, because as the classroom instructor, I'm not necessarily included if there are changes, clarifications, that sort of thing. Okay.
Because like I've already did it all for the SKIP.
Yeah, and it looks like you can do that.
Everything in my SKIP reflection doesn't have anything about the task, about the CAP in it.
Right. To me, the way you read it is very different, but the part that is confusing is where it says the SKIP and the CAP reflection you gain together. So just for the nature of the language, I wanted to move it. What I really think you have to do is you have to include a reflection about the CAP in your reflection about the SKIP, and not necessarily vice versa. And the due dates for the SKIP were before the CAP. So I just moved those back, but let me get some clarification from him and see. Has anybody heard from him? Because I know he was out of the country. Anybody?
He's not my clinical coach, so no.
Well, you now have 2, which is also very weird. You have the one.
When are we going to find that out?
Oh, I thought they already told you.
No. Oh, no, this is the first time I'm hearing it.
Oh, well, great. I'm the bearer of great news. So you have the same one that comes and visits you in your building.
Mhm.
That is what I call your on-site
Mhm.
clinical coach, and all of you are different. Then they've assigned a clinical coach, I guess number 2, I call it a class clinical coach, to the whole class. So the whole class has Dr. Robertson, who is supposed to be helping guide and do instruction on those tasks. Now, I'm very aware that Dr. Robertson, that you guys aren't aware of, has been out of the country since the beginning of the semester and hasn't been available. So,
I believe Dr. Neal is doing the clinical. Well, I think Dr. Neal, not Neal, Lamb is doing Robinson's because that's who did mine.
was he yours that was assigned throughout the semester? I mean, throughout the program?
No, I have Ramsey, but
Okay.
I always go to Lamb just for like a third opinion. And when I submitted my stuff into the internship clinical coach part, the Blackboard part, he was the one that gave me all the feedback, was Lamb.
Okay, and that's the first I've heard that he might be filling in for Dr. Robertson while he was out of the country. So let me
Well, I don't know. I'm just saying that's the person who did mine.
gave you the feedback. Okay. Well, this is the first semester that the university has added that second clinical coach.
Mhm.
So let me, obviously it's new to everybody. So let me figure that out and find out what exactly is going on there. I have a former employee that actually is in the 601 part and is completely confused about the 2 clinical coaches. So I would say don't feel, don't worry. We're all kind of confused with that.
Well,
I hate to say that.
Dr. Ramsey had a town hall meeting and he mentioned it, but he said that we were more of the legacy cohort because we wouldn't have that because of the 2 clinical coaches, but he didn't say that we would be a part of getting the second one. So it was confusing when you said that one.
Because the information that I received before the semester was that there are 2 605 classes that are online this semester. You guys are the only add-on. The other one is the students that did all 5 semesters and were not add-on.
The other one's also add-on because my friend that I work with is in that one.
Really?
And they had a different teacher. That teacher's no longer their teacher, so Dr. Lamb took it over until Dr. Robertson came back into the country, and so now Dr. Robertson's that teacher.
Right.
What? So they changed? Sorry, y'all are filling me in.
My friend
and I'm at her house right now, so that's like when she was hearing some of this, she's like, no, that's my teacher now.
Oh, yeah, please fill us in. So let me see here. So it's not Miss Fry, Dr. Fry.
No, she's not teaching it anymore.
Dr. Lamb is filling in?
Well, it's Robertson's there now. Dr. Lamb was filling in because she was only there like the first week, and then Dr. Lamb took over until Robertson got back in, so now she has Robertson.
And Robertson is teaching the class?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Are all of them in her cohort add-ons?
My friend is.
Yeah, say for the most part that she knows of.
Well, that's news to me because they wanted us to kind of do our Zoom sessions together, but we said we couldn't do that because hers were not add-ons and mine were, and so you guys are on the accelerated. Well, so what other university news do y'all have?
Well, Christina, aren't you were not on the accelerated. You did the 5 semester, right?
I started last fall, but
I didn't start till January.
But I'm still an add-on. I'm not doing the full program.
So you could have been on the 4 semester loop because depending on when you started it, they had you sit out the 2nd semester because they didn't have that 3 compact altogether. Some of you have been able to do spring, summer, and fall. Some of you did fall, sat out, summer, and fall, right? Yeah. So it's I've been with the university now 4 years, and I'm really excited that they're doing this 3 semester add-on because for those of you before, we were losing add-on students during that 2nd and that 4th semester when they were sitting out. They were still having to do a whole lot of artifacts with no support. So those of you that sat out that 2nd semester, I don't know if you experienced that, but I know I experienced that because we used to have the classes combined. Like most of them would be kind of what I call the traditional student that does not have a master's, and then there would be about 4 or 5 add-ons in there, and those add-ons would be completely lost. So I'm glad that the university went to that. You guys are in the transition. So that's all interesting. So Dr. Robertson is teaching that other class.
Yes.
All right.
So on her Blackboard, it has Lamb and Robertson. It's got both of their names listed.
Okay. Well, I will reach out to both of them to try to get a definitive answer for that skip and that cap. The way I read it, the skip is a reflection of both, but the cap, you don't necessarily have the reflection. And I don't know if that was just a way of them combining it or what. And also to see if there's still the class clinical coach.
My question is, I know the skip is due on the 25th. You wanted us to submit that on the 25th, right? So we're gonna wait on that now?
Right. I moved that and haven't sent it out. Was going to talk about it tonight and then send out where the skip is now due week 6. So it'll be due by October 8th. That task 4, and then submitting it for evaluation and task stream will be due by October 15th, which is week 7. And really, these are just guidelines. There's not, you don't get marked down if you don't submit all of these, but they need to be submitted by that week 13, really before Thanksgiving. You need to have all of that submitted because there are processes that the university has to do, and otherwise it will delay the university giving you your, I guess your documentation. Is not really a diploma, your documentation for your certification. So you really need to make sure that everything, your competencies, your dispositions. I know on the pacing that I have, I put everything by November 27th, but my suggestion would be before Thanksgiving, first of all, then you can be thankful it's all done. Second of all, you can enjoy your time off. And unfortunately, I have had students that have had to make changes. And if you're like me, it's not easy to do things in 24-hour turnaround. And they sometimes expect 24-hour turnaround if you wait until after Thanksgiving. Okay? So you're welcome to work ahead on all of these. I mean, you can get it all done by Halloween if you choose and submit it. Nobody is going to say that you have to wait.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Here's my holdup for this semester. I know you said work ahead, and I had already spoken with Dr. Neal about, getting out of this program a little earlier than December. And he said it was possible. The thing is trying to get those peer reviews in the Zoom conferences that have to be attached to them, but there was a way to work around that. So because I didn't get feedback from my group members in time, I had to reach out to other group members and ask them to do my peer reviews, but they weren't a part of my Zoom sessions. But it didn't seem to be an issue when the scores came back from the skip. So they didn't say anything about that. So I'm hoping that's okay, because I want to be done earlier. And so I may reach out to Katie and Rhonda.
If I can, I'm crazy swamped.
To help me out, and I return the favors. I just want to make sure that's okay with you, Dr. Wilson.
Honestly, I don't see when you turn things in to task stream. I have no access to that. So the only thing I put was in week 14, I believe it is. Hold on, I'm gonna go out for a minute and look in Blackboard. I believe it's I think it's week 14. I have an assignment, and you guys don't see it yet, where there's a class assignment where you dump all your peer review feedback forms. So week 14, that's just where you dump it all, and it'll just be a grade, all of them together. It really is for your for your artifacts, submitting them to TaskStream. And the workaround, that's good to know. I will send Dr. Neal a text this evening and say, what is the workaround? Because
I will say
all-
that
yes.
Dr. Lamb for the other class had like a Zoom conference, and he said that in order like to submit them in TaskStream, you don't have to have a Zoom link. You can just have the peer reviews. You don't have to have a Zoom link on the peer review. So you'll be okay.
Just the rubrics?
Yeah, you just need the peer reviews. Like, you don't need to have the Zoom conference link on there.
Oh, nice. Good.
Yeah, so that's like, when you were saying that, I was like, okay, you'll be fine with that. You get them.
Well, it was supposed to be me like teaching you something, but I'm the only one learning this time.
I wouldn't know if she hadn't had that meeting with Dr. Lamb.
Yeah.
With her, so.
Yeah, well, I'm going to reach out to Dr. Lamb and say, hey, include me, because I've got the other 605 class. Okay, I'm making notes here. All right. So what else? What else has Dr. Lamb told your friend? So that we can get all on the same page. All right, what questions do y'all have that maybe have nothing to do with class, but have to do with administration, or maybe has to do with class? What? Any questions? I mean, I'm here to help.
I don't have any. I'm good.
Everybody good?
I'm good. I had one, but it might be a clinical question. But my principal just went out sick, and I've been working with the assistant principal.
Okay.
So my principal is actually on my side for to sign my duties, but she left out working with her and the assistant principal. So I had to get my assistant principal to sign off on my duties. So I'm thinking, do I need to set on a paper or?
How long is your principal going to be out sick?
6 to 8 weeks, and it's probably right to the end of this course.
I think it'll be fine for your AP to sign off on your paperwork. The only thing I worry about is there is a final kind of rubric that the site supervisor has to do through TaskStream, and that sign-in is very specific to that person. So
do I need to get her to sign off if she's not right now? She's acting as principal until she returns.
The AP is?
Yes.
Okay. Let me ask Dr. Lamb, because he's the one that kind of handles that, and see whether he wants to just give the AP the information to sign in, or what. Who is your site clinical coach?
Mr. Ramsey.
Okay, Mr. Ramsey. All right, I'll also include him.
I tried to get her to sign off on the sheet before she went out, but she got sick before I could get her to sign. She had to go out earlier than she expected.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry that she's out sick. I know that's hard when the AP's trying to do everything.
I'm trying to help out.
Hey, it's a growth opportunity, right? Absolutely. So everything else going okay? Everybody is busy. The honeymoon period from the school year has run out in your buildings?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
They have in mine.
Yes.
I think the third day is when it ran out of my building. I'm in a high school, and I think the third day was when we had the first child go off to jail, which is unfortunate.
Oh, wow.
And those of you in elementary are like, what, jail? But
that's what I just did. What?
Yeah, well, welcome to high school.
Wow.
In the state of North Carolina, with the age of being 16, when they do things that are not good and could be illegal, like drugs or fighting. The newest one that has made a little bit of an impact in difference, I would say, in our behavior is when a child refuses to leave a classroom when they're being disagreeable, and you have to empty out the classroom. There is a charge that is like disorderly conduct, something, and it has been all it takes is one or two, and the kids start to say, "Oh, we're not going to be doing that anymore."
That's right.
Yeah.
So that's the bad part about high school is that you have to call parents and say, "Your child's now in Gaston County Jail." The other difficult part is that the kids will do things outside of school that then come in and impact the school. Unfortunately, one of my students from last year is in jail for murder. Yeah.
Wow.
I've got like
Okay,
4
Sue.
in the past year. I've got like 4 that are in jail for murder. It's
Yeah.
the thing, yeah.
Wow.
And what's crazy is it counts against us. I mean, this child has an IEP, so we serve him in jail if he will accept the teaching. But if they don't have an IEP, like we had a girl who was arrested over the summer for the charge was robbery with a dangerous weapon. Basically, she and her boyfriend went and robbed somebody at gunpoint, and she was in jail for like 2.5 months. Well, it was after the 10 days. She was released, but it was after the 10 days, so we have to count her as a dropout. And so for our school report card grade, that counts against us, which is very unfortunate. And it's just disheartening. When you see these kids that, at least in my school, during the day, we're all about, loving on them, having high expectations, really giving them the tools for life that are necessary. Now, we don't put up with a bunch of junk, but we try to support them through that. And then to see that they go back to their lives and their other influences, that makes it really difficult.
Yeah.
So usually though, like James is like, yeah, no big deal. But everybody else is like, jail. People that aren't used to that kind of freak out.
And it's really sad once you build a relationship with those kids, because I mean, when you first get them, you can kind of see those trouble areas, and you try to do everything to try to prevent it and coach them, let them know like these are the dangers of your actions. But it just really hurts when you just see them and like they have potential to be good kids and make some type of change or make something of themselves. And
that's right.
This poor decision making just kind of brings that down. And you're always trying to make you want to make it where the kids set themselves up for success later on in life.
Absolutely.
To make that more difficult, because life is already hard. So let's try to make it as easy as possible for us. So.
Yep, it's difficult.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're gonna get cut off here. Do you guys want to do the next session, or you think we're good?
Well, I think I'm pretty good. I'm not sure about
Good?
everybody.
I'm good.
All right. Well, then we'll plan on meeting next Sunday, and hopefully either you'll have questions or I'll have answers. How's that?
Sounds good. All right.
Good.
Sounds
All
good.
right.
Have a good week.
You too.
Thanks.
Hold
You
on,
too.
hold on.
Kathleen got her hand up.
Yep. I can't hear you. You're muted.
You're muted.
Oh, sorry. We're meeting every Sunday at 7.
Hope to. There's one
Okay.
Sunday I can't meet at 7. It's
Okay.
The 8th of October.
Okay.
I can't meet. I'm going to be out of town, but that's the plan.
Okay.
And I'll send out, 3 invites. And if we don't need all 3, then we don't use all 3.
Okay.
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 All right.
All right.
Have a good week.
Thank
All
you.
right. Bye.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.